Happy Friday, you beautiful soul. I am here today with my good friend, Destiny Cowart, and we are here to discuss some holistic health practices and this beautiful business that she has just launched this week. And it's so interesting because Destiny and I just reconnected, like, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
After after not seeing each other for so long. Destiny and I met while I was living in Kansas. We were both living in Kansas actually at
Mhm.
the time. And the moment that I met Destiny, it was like destiny that we that we meet. It's amazing how the universe brings people together that are supposed to blend during certain seasons of our life, and then we kind of drift off into our own space, and
Mhm.
then if it's meant to be, that person will gravitate towards you again. And when we
Yeah.
reconnected, it was as though I was listening to my own story, and I was so inspired by Destiny, and I want to be able to share what Destiny is doing with my audience, because I am so passionate about holistic health, and I'm on a mission to help people um, not only awaken to a different way of thinking and living when it comes to what we're putting into our body, but also to align with other women, other people that are on that same mission, knowing that it's so important to cultivate relationships so that we can really educate and make a difference.
Mhm.
And it starts one person at a time, right? And it really starts with our own life, making changes in our own life so that we can lead the change in other people's lives.
Mhm.
So Destiny is the resident crunchy woman. I remember when I like reading this, I was like, oh my God, this is so me. Recovering perfectionist and real deal homebody. As the owner, she has been reading ingredient labels since kindergarten, and over the course of a lifetime has fallen in love with helping others create their own happy, healthy, toxin-free lives. When not leading Sow and Reap, Destiny is a comprehensively certified Pilates instructor, business and organizational consultant, legendary beach bum, expert baby snuggler, or very likely chilling at home. What I liked about this description, and even the description of your business, that you're cultivating community, right? A vibrant, growing community of Black folk, brown folk, and anyone who's down folk, cultivating happy, healthy, toxin-free lives. So Destiny, tell me a little bit about, or more about Sow and Reap and how you got started, what inspired it.
Wow. So that's always a hard question to answer because it could, for some people on the outside looking in, it could seem like this was like an overnight thing, but this thing has been cooking for a long time, at least 10 years. And the journey really got started after I graduated from college. I started to have a lot of autoimmune symptoms just come out of nowhere, and was just really tired and feeling very defeated when it came to all the different choices that I would make, to be healthy, or to be what the overall culture says is healthy, to try to look a certain way, be a certain way, all of this stuff. And really, it took a very long time of years of like peeling away like all of the layers of junk that we grow into. We don't just become who we are by ourselves. We become who we are because of the things that oftentimes other people say to us, or the things that we see, the things that we experience. And so I know I'm not the only person who's been on the negative receiving end of that. And so over the course of the past decade, I've gone through a lot of really harrowing experiences that have really caused me to peel back all of those layers, to lean on the Lord even more, and really start to figure out, oh, like, who am I, like, without all of the junk? What are the things that I care about? And who I am is what you just read. And the things that I care about are helping people to feel at home wherever they are. And I have found that the best and the easiest way to do that is really through simplicity, a happy life, a healthy life, toxin free. And so when we talk about toxin free, we are talking a lot about physically toxin free, like reducing our body burden and things like that. But through the help of cultivating the community, I'm hoping that the healthy community, the vibrant, growing community that we cultivate will be helpful for individuals getting rid of the mental and emotional toxins, you know, in their life, as it were. It really was, it was a divine idea. I can say that, oh, I had this idea, it was going to go like this, was going to go like this. And I kind of did, but really how everything played out together was really divine. And I just decided to ride the wave. And things just fell into place. So here we are. We have an amazing online community that's growing. We have a wonderful online market that's stocking with really wonderful goods. And on our site, you really get the chance to learn about who we are. We really do present, you know, this is who we are. This is what we care about. This is what we believe. Come on in and join us if you want. And should you do that, there's a lot of encouragement via communications on blogs, and then also, of course, our social media presences. And then, like I said, we're stocking our market right now, and our market will have toxin-free goods. And I'm most excited about the market because with the crazy big economy, or maybe it's slightly shrinking now, but with the economy that we have here, it's really hard to find products that are good, that are high performing, that are actually good for you, where the producers aren't just worried about the bottom line. And I'm really excited to be partnering with all kinds of entrepreneurs and creatives and artisans to really get their good products out there, so people have a place they can go to and trust and know that what is there is good, and it's going to help them to have that happy, healthy, toxin-free home, health, and beauty as well. So that was kind of a long answer to your question, but that kind of puts it all together.
That's perfect. Well, you know what? I feel like the major objective for anybody who's doing these transitions is sustainability, right? Like, not only are we doing this for our own toxin-free body, because at the end of the day, our body is our living vessel. And if we don't nourish it with products and foods and all the things, right? Not just the products, but even the mindset. Because I've realized that even through my process that I really needed to change my mindset, because this isn't the way that I grew up. I mean, we didn't really have the financial resources, and getting better products cost a little bit more. What I found, you're right. And what I found now is that because the planet is transitioning to more sustainable, fuel efficient products, right? Because really at the end of the day, like, people need more energy. And in order for you to have more energy, you have to have a toxin-free body. So how is it that you, because it takes time. It takes time to be able to learn about this stuff. It takes time for you to be able to find these different brands. And now we live in a society where it's more offered, right? There's more brands that are being offered that are toxin-free. So how do you go about finding your products, and like, how do you decide who you're going to partner with, and how you're going to feature it?
Yeah, great questions. I do want to say one other thing to connect with something you previously said. You know, all of us didn't grow up, you know, with that mindset of sustainability, eco, whatever. And especially for Black and brown, you know, people and other various colors. And a lot of that really is linked to, in my opinion, a lot of that is really linked to a survival mentality. You know, you're just trying to survive. Exactly. But now it's really time to start thriving. And that's why it's important to start, like, if you can make different decisions. Everyone can't do this right away. It's not always financially feasible. And we talk about that too in the Sow and Reap community too. But I think a lot of the reason for previously, you know, us not being able to really do that is because it was all about survival mode, you know, being able to have enough money for this, that, and the third. And, you know, now it's time that we're learning how to thrive. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is that there's so many people out there when you actually go and put yourself in the community and start to find, because I've been doing this for years too, where I love to I love to feature or like connect with artists, artisans, like small business owners that are practicing what we're practicing, and not because, you know, we like are, it's not about like a judgy thing for like what you're using and
Yeah.
what you're not using. It
Mm-hmm.
really is about education, because a lot of these people that are creating sustainable products, it's because they've educated themselves on the importance of it.
Yes.
And I think that education creates more power, right? It
Yeah.
empowers people to make better decisions. I really appreciate your page so far. What I've seen is that you are giving reasons why it's so important to do it, and you're giving information about the brand itself, whatever you are featuring. And it's not just like body products. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's everything.
Yeah, it's home health and beauty. So in Reap, we're exploring best toxin-free practices and products that fall under things for your home. That's a big thing. So whether it's, you know, cleaning and disinfectant supplies, candles, you know, what is that called? A room spray, you know, all of that stuff. We get into that. We get into the things, of course, you put on your body, your cosmetics. We get into health, even down to the kind of spices you buy, how even the spices today, they have these really bad fillers in them and are irradiated and things like that. So we really talk about as many things as we can related to home health and beauty, babies too. And the way we go about doing it is, a part of our ethos is we value information. So we choose to, you know, talk with professionals, to collect our own research, and then to share that wealth of knowledge with everyone with an approach that's, first of all, accessible and supportive to everyone. When I was younger, my mom, unfortunately, she shared with me this phrase that a lot of people her age grew up hearing, and even my grandparents, and it was, if you ever want to hide something from a Black person, you put it in a book, you know, because people aren't reading. And it's really not good, you know. So we really encourage people to, you know, don't just, even me, don't just listen to what I'm telling you. Please go. And, you know, I'm not your guru. My position is I want to encourage you to go and do the work for yourself. So I don't want you to always come to me. I mean, that's great, you know, if you always come to the people you trust, but at some point, I think it's important to empower individuals to not only know how to read, know what they're reading, know the worldview behind what they're reading. You know, is this person telling you to think or telling you what to think or how to think? You know, all of those things. And that's a whole other conversation for another day. But this is everything we try to do at Sow and Reap. We try to just present all the information that's available. And we're not really interested in telling you what to do for you, okay? So toxin-free, on our site, we have a certain list on one of our pages. It's called Blacklisted Ingredients. And this is a group of chemicals and ingredients that we've identified over years and years and years and years. And I would be remiss in saying if this were all me. It's not all me. I have some pretty amazing people that are helping to support this venture. But really over the course of, like I said, this 10-year period, we've collected information about a group of ingredients and chemicals that are known to be the most carcinogenic, the most hormone disrupting, the most toxic, according to not just what we say, but the National Institutes of Health. And we have studies linked to all of our, you know, our blacklisted ingredients online. So you learn yourself why they're never in any of the products that we personally recommend. So that's really the first thing. The second thing we try to do is really inform people about what are the systems and organizations that really govern production here in the United States. So a lot of people don't understand or aren't aware of the fact that, for example, this is on our webpage too, toxin-free versus non-toxic. So those are definitely two different things. You will never, ever, 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 ever hear on our website or anyone at Sow and Reap talk about non-toxic. Why? Because the term non-toxic is overwhelmingly not regulated. And that by itself is not an issue. But when you dig into that a little more, it's like, oh, okay, non-toxic is is kind of a buzzword to get people to buy things. So I don't want to get super technical, but I'm sure your audience would want to know this. So overall, there's an organization here in the US. It's called the CPSC, the Consumer Protection, I always forget this, the Consumer Protection Safety Council. And what they do, the Consumer Product Safety Commission. That's what it is. Consumer Product Safety Commission. I'm just going to say CPSC from here on out. Okay. What they do, they are chiefly responsible for governing and administering what's called the FHSA, lots of letters, the Federal Hazardous Substances Act. And so basically the FSHA is the act that governs, your home, your cleaning products, what can get put on the market, cosmetics, all of this stuff, okay? So any the time, you see the warnings on some of your products, steps for first aid, blah, blah, blah. That's all FHSA stuff. Okay, so here's where it gets hairy. Legally, the FHSA can put the word non-toxic on anything that as long as in their product testing, it doesn't kill or harm 50% of the people involved. So legally, that means it can harm or kill 49% of, and most often it's animals, unfortunately, the animals involved, and they can say it's not toxic. That's a problem. That's a really big problem.
It's a really big problem.
That's a really big problem. And none of that even takes into account things like dosage or exposure, to things like that. So it's really mind blowing to us. So that's non-toxic. As a term, however, toxin-free, that's what we use in Sow and Reap. And overall, toxin-free as a term is not regulated either. However, it is, and when I'm saying it's not regulated, I'm really just saying that there's no governing organization that kind of sets standards for it. But toxin-free or toxic-free, some people say, but toxin-free is defined by the Toxin Free Foundation, which is an independent, private, worldwide organization that really has tons of environmental toxin experts, this, that, and the third, and they talk about, the importance of not putting bad things in your products. Right. And overall, they define toxin-free as products that are free of, and I have it here, so I want to be sure I say it correctly, products or formulas that have been created without the use of any known or potentially toxic, carcinogenic, or poisonous ingredients. And most often, that often means safer formulas, more sustainable practices, and saying sayonara to stuff like endocrine disruptors. So we choose toxin-free. We choose toxin-free because you could easily be like I used to think, surely whoever they is, wouldn't allow products to be sold that are harmful to people, but yeah, they will because they care about their bottom line. And it's always, for some people and organizations, it's always been profits over people. And that's unfortunate. And it's even more harrowing if you're a person of color in this country. If you're a person of color in this country, it is essential to be aware of these things. Pressure to meet Western standards of beauty affects women of color and even men of color. Let me not be that way, but it affects people of color overwhelmingly. And as a result, you know, you have people of color using all of these products to attain a certain look or attain a certain standard. The grand majority of time, those products are bad news. They have all of the carcinogenic, hormone disrupting stuff in it. It's really, really bad, and it leads to developmental toxicity. Even if you're carrying someone in the womb, developmental toxicity, reproductive toxicity, and this stuff is overwhelmingly affecting Black and brown folks. Yes, so, again, that so anyway, on the site we really try to educate people on that. And someone asked me, oh my gosh, you know, Black, brown, anyone who's down, isn't that racist? No, it's not racist. It's not racist at all. And we, you know, brown and Black folk are regularly excluded from conversations related to health, beauty, wellness, and even home. Just this idea of home, because a lot of times, frankly, Black and brown people aren't treated as human, and humans have this desire for home. Everyone has this desire for home, right? So our team ultimately at Sow and Reap, we decided we wanted to say, hey sis, hey bruh, we see you, we love you, we know many of the things that you're looking for, we care about your needs. And compassionately to anyone else who's not Black or brown, we say, we believe that, you know, propping them up doesn't have to take anything away from you or anybody else. So that's really the approach that we choose to take with that.
I love that. You said so many things that just really resonated with me. And I mean, I really started learning a lot about chemicals in products when I was working in product development in shoes.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yep, and our company tested for chemicals that were prohibited from using in the materials that we're going to be using for our shoes. But many companies, I mean, we were a big enough company at the time to be able to afford to spend the amount of money for testing, where a lot of these smaller brands, these smaller companies do not have the money for research and development. That is really why I appreciate companies like, for instance, Isogenics, who is a like. And there's many of them, like I use doTERRA for essential oils, and the efficacy of these products is so, they understand the importance of purity, and they're able to put more money into research and development where they can detect whether these toxic ingredients are going in, because you're right, there's no regulations. The regulations are, there's a very slippery slope, especially when it comes to supplements that you find in stores.
We talk about that too. We talk about that too.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And you're right. Like people think, the average person thinks, oh, well, I'm buying it at the store, so it should be safe. Well, no, because I mean, the biggest industries in this world are the pharmaceutical, the food, and insurance companies. So it's like they profit on keeping us sick. They profit on not giving us this information. I am so grateful for you, Destiny, because it is imperative that Black and brown people talk more about these concepts and really educate our people, because I mean, you and I have learned that disease is not something that it's not a, one of those, like, disease, just because your family has it doesn't mean that you're going to have it. Like these are things that are passed on generation by generation that oftentimes are not broken. And I know for myself, I know that you've gone through this transformational process. And I know when I started, like, you know, I had to break a lot of generational curses, to be quite honest with you, because certain things were taught to me, you know. And so how has holistic lifestyle practices changed the trajectory of your health and your life by just knowing this, you know? Like, I mean, I know it's a big question, but I mean, in just to summarize it a little bit, how can you say that this has really impacted you?
You know, I think that it's a little bit of what I said earlier. It's really changed my paradigm, because I have fully moved from surviving to thriving. And a lot of people don't know what it's like to thrive. They can tell you all about what it takes to survive and all the ins and outs and all of that. And the old adage is true: misery likes company. You know, so when people are, you know, operating lower, and I really want to be careful saying that, because this isn't to say, oh, I'm thriving so I'm better than you. No, we all have our, you know, individual journeys. But when people are operating, I'll say, with a limited amount of information or a limited amount of knowledge, it is very disempowering. And when you don't feel empowered, you feel down. You know, you can really feel down. You can feel like there's no way out, you know, and then you just have your head down, putting your hand to the plow, and, you know, that's it. All you're doing is working, and you're just surviving. But since I made the different changes in my life, and again, this has been a long journey. This has been, I keep saying 10 years, but it's closer to 12, I think now. I've been, you know, changing what I eat. And this isn't to, you know, advocate for any certain way of eating. I'm not here to do that. But, you know, I've changed how I've eaten. I've changed what I do, how I move my body, things I choose to do with my time, how I choose to renew my mind, how I, you know, all of these things. I'm doing things to support a thriving life. And by thriving, I really mean I really feel like I'm closer and closer to becoming the fullness of who I was created to be. And that is the most important thing. And a lot of people don't get that opportunity to experience that. So there aren't too many people who can really tell you what that's like, unfortunately. But that's the biggest thing, that the difference that it's made in my life. And let me tell you, thriving is revolutionary. It is really, it's revolutionary, because people don't want you to let me not say people, there are forces, I will say, forces of darkness, forces of evil, that's what I call them, that don't want you to thrive. Okay. When you start taking care of yourself, you're going to come up against a lot of resistance, but keep going anyway. When you start making intentional decisions to better yourself, better your surroundings, better the life of your family, you're going to have resistance. Do it anyway. When you start living a more intentional life, you're going to have resistance. Do it anyway. And while you're doing it anyway, pray to the Lord Jesus Christ that you have, that people will come alongside of you to support you, to cheer you on, to lift you up, to be that community for you, because that's how you start to thrive. It is revolutionary. People will try to bring you down, call you radical, call you this, call you that. Yeah, actually, my husband brought up a really great point recently. So radical, the etymology, or like the word history behind the word radical is root, like ROOT. So when you are radical, you are considered to be getting to the root of a thing. Great, that's fine. Call me radical then, because I want to return to the roots. I want to return to how things are supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So it's just changed my life completely. And yeah.
I love those words. Yes, that, Destiny, is the epitome of freedom.
Yeah.
That is freedom, when you are free of any judgments, any restrictions, any limitations, when you empower yourself daily, because it is a choice. It is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
choice. It's a
It's a
choice
choice,
every
daily
single
choice.
day to empower yourself and to want to learn and to want to grow. I always say that that change is inevitable. I might have heard this quote many years ago, but it resonated so much with me when I wrote a poem about it. That change is inevitable and transformation is a choice. If you don't choose every single day to show up for yourself, you're not going to transform. Nothing is going to change. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing something over and over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, well, with that being said,
Yeah.
what tip would you give someone who knows nothing about holistic health and is ready to make some transitions in their life, but they just don't know where to start because there's so much. There's
There's
so
so
much
much.
information. There's and everybody works differently. Everybody has their own DNA code, right? So it's like, not, this recipe is not going to work for everyone,
Yes. Yes.
but there's some foundations that need to be laid out in order for you to have sustainable, and no matter how you do it, but
Mhm.
what would be the one thing or maybe a few things that you would recommend for somebody who, again, doesn't know anything about it
Mhm.
and knows that they need to make a change, but they don't know where to start?
Wow. The first thing I would say to do is talk to someone, tell someone about what you're trying to do. And even though that sounds silly, the reason why I say that is because oftentimes when we have these changes we're trying to make with ourselves, we kind of keep it to ourselves. It's like, oh, I want to cut out sugar, or oh, I want to do this and that. And we don't always share it with someone else, which isn't necessarily bad or good. It just is. For me, the difference maker has been sharing that with someone else so that I can just get out of my own head for my own, really for my own mental health, to be quite honest. And I think there's a lot of power and there's a lot of value in that. Share with someone what you're trying to do. And someone that you trust, who isn't going to drag you or bring you down. And it's not, sharing with them to say, hey, I'm going to do this, you need to do it too. But it could be simply just the start of a conversation. Hey, I've been thinking a lot about this. Have you ever thought about this before? No? Okay. Well, and then it could just go on from there. Again, talking with others is really important. And I'm thinking about a really good friend of mine who, if you think about it this way, let's say you and I are hanging out, Rebecca, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm really trying so hard not to eat so much sugar. And then 5 minutes later, we walk into frozen yogurt place and I put all this, extra whatever on, Oreos, let's say, on my thing. And I say, oh, okay, well, it's just self-care. Well, because I've said something to you and you care about me, you'll probably say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Because you just said this. Sometimes it's just helpful to have another person to hear what we're saying and to talk. So I would definitely say that first. And it sounds silly, but it really is so helpful. Success doesn't happen alone in a vacuum, and success is not a one-person job. It definitely isn't.
You are so right.
I would say that. The second thing I would say is that I say this to my students in class a lot. As Rebecca said, I'm a Pilates instructor. And the thing is, I would say your body is not Amazon Prime. So what I mean by that is, it's just like, we always want the fast results, like we want the 2-day, whatever. And it's really laughable when we think about the fact that we've been living and eating and drinking like crazy for years. And then we do something for, we start making these changes for a week or a month or 6 months, or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, this isn't working. No, we got to give this thing some time. You really do.
Yes.
You really, really do. And a really great example of that is, I don't think he'll mind me talking about this, but my husband went plant-based in 2017, 100% vegan, cold turkey. I don't recommend doing it that way, but that's how he did it. And even now, it's 2020, even now his body is still, you know, experiencing changes like, oh, okay, we're changing this up now. And we have to remember that our body is made up of cells that go through their own reproductive processes and remake themselves over. Cells, groups of cells turn into tissues, tissues turn into organs, you know, all of that stuff. So we're really, when you make this, anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, all when you make changes, give yourself time. Like, your body is not Amazon Prime. It didn't take 2 days to get there, and it might not take 2 days to, it's not going to take 2 days to fix it. It's going to take a little bit longer. But it's all about that diligence. And that's the next thing that I will say is, you become, I firmly believe that we become who we are meant to be in the waiting. That's when all that stuff comes. You know, we're waiting on these last pounds to fall off, whatever. We're waiting to not feel tired. And when I say waiting, I don't mean passive. I mean, it's an active process. We're waiting for change while we're doing what we know to do, right?
Yes.
So it's in that time when we're waiting that we start to become who we are. And I mean the changes from the inside out. So health is an inside job. Mind, body, spirit, it's an inside job. It doesn't happen from outside in. So that means there aren't ever going to be things that you can eat, drink, see, experience all the time. In my opinion, my belief, that you can just take and put on your body or put inside that are just going to, no, it's an inside job. You know, true health is an inside job, and it happens from the inside out. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then finally, try to look for and join communities that sound like, you know, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to gain for your own life. Like, join a community like Rebecca's, join a community like Sow and Reap, join them both. They're not mutually exclusive, and because there's wisdom in many counselors. So just try to learn, be a student. That's what I will say. I feel like I'm always a student. I'm always learning things. And I say at Sow and Reap, you know, come alongside me, come alongside us as we learn this together. Follow me, you know, as I'm learning things too. This is how we learn. This is how we grow. So I would say those things.
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. And you know what? You hit it on the nail. We cannot, there's only so far that we can go alone. And then we really need to partner with people that can take us to the next level, because everybody has a specific DNA code and a purpose that they're here on earth to do. You and I can be doing the exact same thing, which we are teaching very similar concepts, if not everything, but you and I have completely different networks.
Yeah.
So there's no point in us ever feeling anybody that we're in competition with each other, because
that's right.
The only real competition really is like the one with your higher self. How I'm becoming the higher version of myself every better decision that I make. We always talk about 1% shifts, because it's about sustainability. Not everybody has the mindset to do what Joel did, where he could go cold turkey overnight. It took years to go vegan. It took me 3 years to go vegan. And even before that, I was still working on my mindset, and I was like doing the process of elimination, where I was seeing if something worked, if something didn't. If it did work, then I kept it. If it didn't work, removed it. People. You know what I mean? As you're ascending, you're gonna attract a different tribe of people that are either smarter than you, or there. We're gonna keep you, like, we're gonna keep each other accountable, and we're gonna do this together. I appreciate that you said that we are not, our bodies are not Amazon Prime. That is so much truth right there, because you know how long it's taken for you to internally transform, and so have I. I mean, to see the physical manifestation has been a process. To see the external transformation has been a process, because you're right. Majority of people will live toxic their entire life. And, you know, I started transitioning over at about 28. That's when I kind of like where it really hit home. And that's where a lot of the material, like the teachers and the resources were showing up, because they say that when the student is ready, the teacher will show up, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
And
right.
it's so like, I can't even tell you how many times that has happened. Like even with our experiences of reconnecting with each other, like what are the odds that we were doing our own work separately and then we come back and we're in the same place, you know? So well, I am just so thrilled to like have this conversation with you, because you are so on point with everything that you're talking about, really ahead of your time for sure. So tell our audience where you can be found and how they can connect with you and your team of amazing people that are just giving all this valuable information.
Okay, so our home on the World Wide Web is sowreap.life. So I probably should talk about the name of Sow and Reap very briefly. So ultimately, it's just that law, that universal law. You reap what you sow. You sow good things, you will reap good things. And so Sow and Reap is about actively choosing to sow good things because we value reaping good things. So that is really the mindset behind Sow and Reap's name. So on the web, we are sowreap.life. And then on Instagram and Twitter, we are Sow Reap Life, all together, one word, Sow Reap Life. And if you are on Facebook, you can find our private group. It's a really wonderful group, lots of little conversations starting to kick off to the side, and it's just Sow and Reap, and you can request to join, and we'll ask you a few questions before you come in, and yeah, that'll be that. That's where we are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Destiny, for taking the time. I will actually put those links when I upload the video, and people can have access to your group, your IG, and your website. Thank you so much again for taking the time to connect with me, to educate people, to just inspire people to thrive, because the rest of 2020 is going to continue to be a year of clear vision.
That's
where
right.
we are thriving, right? Clear vision, thriving, healthy, abundant, and all the prosperity in the world coming into our lives. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.